I stood amid the storm of dust and the roar of machinery, eyes fixed on the crumbling Blackwood Orphanage, a rotting husk primed for my next billion-dollar tower. I, Robert Sterling, the ruthless real estate titan, was ready to raze it to rubble. Explosives were set, the countdown ticking. Then a foreman bolted toward me, face pale as death, shouting, "5 kids are inside. They won't leave." I brushed it off, a minor snag in my plan. But I stepped into that dank, shadowed ruin myself, and there, in a corner, 5 pairs of terrified eyes stared back. A wiry teenager. Caleb stood guard over 4 smaller ones, his voice ablade. "This is our home." My heart stuttered. I barked the order to halt everything. Machines fell silent, but my mind roared. I'd built an empire, a cold fortress of wealth and power, untouchable. Yet these kids, clinging to this broken shell, cracked something in me. This wasn't just brick and mortar, it was their last refuge. I couldn't tear it down. Not today. The dust settled, and I felt the weight of their gaze, the weight of a life I'd never known. Connection. Need. Vulnerability. I, the man who crushed dreams for profit, stood frozen, undone by 5 children with nowhere else to go. If you've ever faced a moment that shattered everything you thought you were, drop a comment. I get this feeling. I need to know how many of you have seen your world tilt in a single breath like mine did. I am Robert Sterling, 42, the iron-fisted king of real estate. A name whispered in boardrooms with fear and awe. I grew up alone, parents gone too soon, no siblings, no close allies. My childhood was a bleak stretch of silence, foster homes, cold beds, and the sting of being unwanted. I buried that pain, forged myself into a machine of ambition. Money became my armor, deals my weapon. I crushed competitors, built skyscrapers, and never looked back. Friends? None. Family? A word for others. My penthouse, a sterile cage of glass and steel, mirrored my heart, empty, efficient, unyielding. Yet, standing before that crumbling orphanage, something shifted. Those kids, Caleb, the defiant leader, Sarah, wide-eyed at 10, Ethan and Emma, the 7-year-old twins, and little Lily, barely 4, stirred a ghost in me. I'd never felt responsible for anyone. My life was numbers, contracts, profit. But their faces, smudged with dirt and hope, haunted me. I saw myself in Caleb's glare, the boy I was, guarding nothing but my own survival. My wealth, my power, meant nothing here. I'd spent decades running from that hollow ache, the loneliness I'd never admit. Now, it clawed at me, raw and real. Why did I care? Why did their plea, "We have nowhere else," cut deeper than any boardroom loss? I, the man who owned cities, felt owned by this moment. My past, a buried wound, bled again. I'd built walls to keep out feeling, but these kids, this rotting building, breached them. I couldn't name it, guilt, duty, or something softer, but I felt it. I stood there, suit stained with dust, heart pounding, knowing I'd never be the same. A tycoon, yes, but a man too, fragile in ways I'd never confess. As a boy, I'd clutch a rusted key, the only thing my father left me before he vanished. It unlocked nothing, no door, no home, no answers. I'd sit in the dark of yet another foster room, turning it in my hands, the metal cold, its edges biting my skin. It was my talisman of abandonment. A reminder I'd always be alone. I'd whisper to it, a child's foolish plea, "Take me somewhere safe." No one came. No place ever was. I buried that key in a box, buried the boy with it, and built my empire to prove I needed no one. Yet, as I faced those 5 kids in the Blackwood ruin, Caleb's fierce stare brought it back. I saw him grip a broken chair leg, his own talisman, defending his siblings with a ferocity I once knew. I knelt, a level with little Lily, her tiny hands clutching a torn doll, its button eyes dangling. She whispered, "Mama's gone. This is all we got." That doll, her key, her shield against a world that left them behind. My chest tightened, the old ache rising. I remembered nights, cold and endless, when I'd hug that key, praying for a family, a home. I saw my reflection in their fear, unwanted, unmoored. I reached out, hesitant, and handed Lily a blanket from the supplies I'd brought. Her fingers brushed mine, small and trembling, and I felt the ghost of that boy, the one who'd begged for warmth. I'd run from that pain, built towers to hide it, but here it was, mirrored in their eyes. The key, the doll. The broken chair leg, symbols of loss, of clinging to scraps. I couldn't look away. My past, my wound, lived in them. I'd spent a lifetime locking it out, but now, in this decaying shell, it demanded to be seen. I touched my pocket, imagining that old key, and knew I couldn't leave them to this fate. Not like I was left. What happens when the world you've built crumbles? And 5 kids with nothing force you to face everything you've buried? Stick with me, things are about to get messy. I called off the demolition, a decision that cost me millions in penalties. And the boardroom erupted. My partners, men in suits as cold as I'd been, sneered, "Robert, you're going soft over some strays?" They didn't see the kids' faces the way Caleb's shoulders squared. Protecting his own. I felt their scorn, a blade against my resolve. I'd been their shark, their deal closer, and now I was a liability. The media sniffed the story, headlines mocked me. Tycoon halts empire for orphans. My name, once a monument, became a punchline. I paced my penthouse, the city's lights glaring through glass, feeling outcast in my own world. I dug into the kids' story, hiring investigators to unearth the truth. Their mother, Mary, lay dying in a city hospital, her body frail, her hope gone. Their father, Victor, had taken a payout from a building dispute, my building dispute, and vanished, leaving them to rot. The kids, Caleb, Sarah, Ethan, Emma, Lily, survived weeks in that wreck, scavenging, hiding. I brought food, blankets, sat with them in that damp ruin. Caleb eyed me, wary, his voice sharp. "Why you here? You don't know us." I had no answer. My life, my circle, was deals and distance. Now, I was an outsider to my own kind, judged by suits who'd never understand, and doubted by kids who'd never trust. The pressure bore down. Investors pulled funds. My legacy wobbled. I felt the sting of isolation, like that boy with the key, unwanted again. But their huddled forms in that broken place, pulled me deeper. I couldn't walk away. Society saw me as a fool. My peers as a traitor. I was adrift, torn between the man I was and the man I might be. The betrayal cut deepest when my top investor, a gray-haired vulture named Grayson, called. "Robert, you're tanking us," he spat, voice like ice. "Drop this orphan nonsense, or we're done." He backed me for years, profited off my ruthlessness, and now he turned, threatening to pull every dime. I stood in my office, the phone heavy, my empire cracking. I saw the kids in my mind, Lily's tiny hand, Caleb's guarded glare, and felt the wound of abandonment twist. Grayson's words echoed my past. The foster carers who dismissed me, the world that left me behind. I hung up, fury burning. I drove to Blackwood, found Caleb stacking cans, Sarah braiding Emma's hair. I brought pizza. Sat on the cracked floor. Caleb muttered, "You'll leave too." Everyone does. His doubt stung, a mirror of Grayson's betrayal. I'd been loyal to money, to power, and it turned on me. Now these kids, betrayed by their father, judged me the same. I wanted to shout, "I'm here," but words failed. The media swarmed, cameras flashing, painting me as savior or a stuntman. I shielded the kids. My temper flaring at a reporter's jab, Sterling's publicity ploy. I felt the weight, my past, a life of being discarded, my present, a battle against those I'd trusted. Grayson's ultimatum rang. Abandon them, or lose everything. I looked at Lily, clutching her doll, and saw my key, my own betrayal by a father who fled. I couldn't be him. I wouldn't. The world, my allies. These kids, they all judged me, and I stood in the wreckage, a man unmoored, fighting a tide I didn't understand. A family that turns its back. Can you trust anyone after that? Was Grayson right to cut me loose? Or was he the villain? What do you think? Too harsh? Tell me in the comments. I rebelled quietly, a shift no one saw coming. I ignored Grayson's threat, poured my own money into stalling the demolition, hired a top family lawyer instead of a corporate one. I sat with the kids, not in boardrooms, bringing books for Sarah, a toy for Lily. Caleb watched, arms crossed, skepticism in his eyes. "You're no hero," he said, and I nodded, no defense. I wasn't, but I couldn't let them be split apart, tossed into a system I'd barely survived. I met Ms. Evans, a social worker, her face lined with care, her voice steady. She saw my intent, hesitant but real, and agreed to help. I drove to the hospital, found Mary, their mother, a wisp of a woman, tubes snaking from her arms. Her eyes, dim but fierce, met mine. "Keep them together," she whispered. I nodded, a vow I barely understood. Back at Blackwood, I fixed a leaking pipe, my hands clumsy. Suit soaked. Ethan giggled, Emma clapped, and I felt a spark. Defiance against the suits, the system, my own cold past. I wasn't ready, no father, no saint, but I moved, step by step. I dodged calls from investors, their voices sharp with doubt. My rebellion was small supplies, time, a promise, but it grew. Caleb tossed me a rag, a test, and I wiped my hands, meeting his gaze. I saw my younger self, fighting alone, and knew I'd push back. Not for glory, not for deals, but for them. I'd spent a life bowing to power, suppressing that boy with the key. Now I defied it. Hesitant, unpracticed, my heart racing. The world could wait. These kids couldn't. I'd started a fight I wasn't ready for, and a shadow from their past was closing in. Stay with me. Fear's about to test us all. Fear crept in like damp through the walls of Blackwood. I'd hired investigators, and their report landed heavy. Victor, the kid's father, wasn't just gone, he was tangled in crime, drugs, a payout from my own deal fueling his escape. Now whispers said he'd heard of my stand, the kid's story, and was circling back. I stood in the orphanage, the air thick, watching Caleb teach Ethan to tie a shoe. My gut twisted. I'd known abandonment, the empty ache of a father's absence, and now this man, this ghost, threatened them again. I saw my past, the rusted key, the nights I'd trembled, waiting for someone who never came. Victor's shadow loomed, a threat to rip these kids apart, to drag them into his chaos. I checked the locks, the windows, my hands shaking. Ms. Evans called, voice tight. We've had a sighting. He's asking questions. My chest clenched. I looked at Lily, asleep with her doll, and felt terror, raw, old, mine and theirs. What if I failed? What if the system took them, or worse, he did? I'd built towers, faced tycoons, but this fear was different, primal, personal. I paced, the creak of the floor loud in the quiet, imagining Victor's face, his greed. The kids didn't know, but Caleb's eyes narrowed, sensing my edge. What's wrong? He asked. I lied. Nothing, my voice thin. My old wound, the boy left behind, screamed, you're not enough. I'd fought to keep them safe, but now fear clawed up, cold and real, whispering I'd lose them. Just as I'd lost everything once. The night stretched, and I stood guard, heart pounding, a man facing a storm I couldn't control. Victor showed up at dusk, a gaunt figure in a stained jacket. Eyes wild, banging on Blackwood's door. I froze, my pulse a drum in my ears. Where's my kids? He slurred, his fist rattling the frame. Caleb stepped forward, chair leg in hand. But I pushed him back, my body a shield. Stay away, I growled, my voice steadier than I felt. He laughed, a jagged sound, and spat. You're the rich guy playing daddy? They're mine. I saw the kids huddle, Sarah's whimper, Emma and Ethan clinging, Lily's doll tight to her chest. My fear spiked, a memory of my own helplessness, the boy with the key, abandoned. Victor's eyes glinted, greedy, dangerous, promising chaos. I'd faced boardroom wolves, but this was a beast, a father who'd left them to starve, now back to claim or extort. Ms. Evans arrived. Her presence calm, and called the cops, but Victor lingered, shouting threats. I stood firm, my hands clenched, sweat beading. Inside, I quaked. Could I protect them? The system loomed, ready to scatter them, and Victor's return fueled that fire. I saw my past, the foster homes, the cold nights, and felt the weight. Failure wasn't an option. I locked eyes with him. My fear a living thing, but I wouldn't bend. You're done here, I said, voice low, final. He sneered, stumbled off, but the air stayed thick. Caleb watched me, doubt in his gaze. And I wondered too, was I enough? Police lights flashed, and I held my ground. A man torn by terror, fighting for 5 lives, my own wound bleeding open. I could have stayed quiet, let him walk. But why should the abandoned always swallow their fear? What would you do, stay silent or stand up, no matter the cost? Tell me below. I sat with the kids after Victor fled, the night heavy. Police gone. Lily curled in my lap, her doll pressed close, Sarah and the twins near, Caleb's eyes still sharp. My fear lingered, a cold knot, but I looked at them and felt a fire ignite. I'd survived my own desert, foster care, hunger, a father's absence, and I'd be damned if they'd face that alone. I whispered to Lily, I'm here, and meant it, my voice a vow. I thought of my key, the boy I'd been, clinging to hope in the dark. I'd built an empire to escape, but these kids needed more than money. They needed me. I called Ms. Evans, laid out my plan. Fight the system. Fight Victor. Keep them together. She nodded, her faith a lifeline. I stood, paced the creaking floor, my resolve hardening. We're not splitting up, I told Caleb, meeting his stare. He didn't reply, but his grip on the chair leg eased. I saw their faces, fragile, fierce, and knew I'd bleed for this. My past, the wound of being left, fueled me. I'd survived, built a life from nothing, and now I'd build one for them. I brought blankets, food, sat with Ethan, taught him a knot, my hands steady now. Fear still gnawed, Victor's threats, the system's reach, but I pushed back. I wasn't that boy anymore, trembling, alone. I was Robert Sterling, and I'd fight. For them, for the family I'd never had. The night stretched, but I stood tall, my will a blade. Cutting through doubt. We'd survive this together. I'd drawn a line, but the battle was coming. Hang on, the truth's about to shake everything. I dove in, a man possessed. Chasing the truth to save them. Victor's shadow hung heavy, his threats echoing, but I needed facts. I hired more investigators, top dogs, to dig into his past, where he'd gone. What he'd done with that payout from my deal. They worked fast, papers piling on my desk. Victor's rap sheet, petty theft, drug runs, a trail of ruin. Mary, their mother, had shielded the kids. Kept them fed till her body gave out. I drove to the hospital, sat by her bed, her breath a rattle. Protect them, she'd gasped, her eyes pleading. I nodded, gripped her hand. Felt my old wound ache, abandonment, mine and theirs. Back at Blackwood, I watched the kids, Caleb guarding, Sarah reading, the twins drawing, Lily humming to her doll. I asked questions, gentle, probing. Caleb snapped, why you care? I said, because you deserve better. He stared, silent. Ms. Evans brought files. The system wanted them split, foster homes waiting. My blood boiled. I'd lived that, bounced from place to place, no roots, no love. I dug deeper, found Victor's last haunt, a dive bar, whispers of him plotting to cash in on the kids, my name in the news. I sat in my car, rain streaking the windshield, piecing it together. Victor wasn't a father, he was a leech. The kids' fear, their bond, was all they had. I thought of my key, my lonely nights, and saw their truth. They'd been left, like me, but they'd fought together. I called my lawyer, a sharp woman named Klein, laid out the stakes, custody, protection. A war against a broken man and a colder system. She nodded, I steady, and we mapped it. I stood in Blackwood, the walls sagging, and felt the shift. No more running, no more hiding behind deals. I'd seek every scrap. Victor's crimes, the kid's story, Mary's wish, to build a case, a shield. My past drove me, the boy who'd begged for a home. I looked at Lily, her tiny smile, and knew. This was my fight. Truth was my weapon now. A clue came quiet, a crack in the dark. My investigator called, voice low. Victor's been spotted, Robert. He's asking about you, the kids, the money. A chill ran through me. He'd seen the headlines, tycoon saves orphans, and smelled profit. I drove to Blackwood, heart pounding, eyes scanning the shadows. Ms. Evans met me, her face grim. Handing me a note, a bar tab, Victor's name scrawled, dated last night, a block away. A warning, small but sharp. He was close, circling, a predator sniffing weakness. I walked the kids inside. Lily tugging my sleeve, Ethan and Emma giggling over crayons. Caleb watched, eyes narrow, sensing my tension. I didn't tell them, couldn't. I checked the doors, the windows, my hands unsteady. The tab listed beers, a scribbled boast, my kids, my payout. My stomach turned. I saw my past, the father who left, the key I'd clunked, useless. Victor was worse, abandoning. Then returning to exploit. I called Klein, my lawyer, showed her the tab. He's a threat, she said, but evidence too. We dug deeper, found a witness, a bartender, who'd heard Victor rant. That rich guy's got my kids. I'll get him back, get paid. Greed, not love, drove him. I sat with Sarah, her book open, and asked about their dad. She whispered, he yelled, left us. Mama cried. My chest ached, the old wound raw. I saw the system's shadow too, files on Ms. Evans' desk, plans to scatter them. The warning grew. Victor could sway a court, play the father card, or worse, harm them. I stood in the rain, the tab in my pocket, a fragile clue. My fear flared, but I gripped it, turned it. This was fuel, proof of his rot, a lever for my fight. I looked at the kids, their fragile hope, and felt my resolve harden. I'd been left, lost, but I'd risen. Now, I'd shield them, chase every lead, face every threat. The bar tab, a scrap, was my map. Victor was near. Dangerous, but I'd be ready. I stood in Blackwood's dim light, the kids around me, and made my choice. No more drifting, no more doubt. I'm keeping you together, I told them, my voice firm. Eyes on Caleb's skeptical gaze. Lily smiled. Tiny, Sarah nodded. The twins blinked, unsure. I meant it, every word. I'd faced Victor's shadow, seen the bar tab, heard Mary's dying plea. My past. The boy with the key screamed, "Don't let them fall." I called Klein, my lawyer, and Ms. Evans laid it out. We fight. For custody, for them, against Victor, against the system. Klein's eyes lit. We'll build a case, his crimes, your commitment. Ms. Evans added, I'll document everything, your bond, their needs. I nodded, heart racing, a man reborn. I'd built towers, bent men to my will. But this was bigger. I declared it to myself, to them. I'd be their shield, their home. I sat with Caleb, handed him a sandwich, said, I'm not leaving. He stared, jaw tight, but didn't turn away. I hired security, guarded Blackwood, my mind sharp. Victor's threat loomed, his greed a blade, but I'd counter it. I poured money, time, soul into this, lawyers, research, supplies. I learned their names, their quirks. Sarah loved stories, Ethan and Immadrew. Lily sang. My penthouse, once a tomb, would open. I saw my wound, the loneliness I'd buried, and owned it. I'd survived. Built an empire, now I'd build a family. I stood before a mirror, suit-stained, and spoke my vow. Robert Sterling, you will not fail them. The system wanted them split. Victor wanted them for gain. I'd fight both, tooth and nail. I met Ms. Evans at court, filed for emergency guardianship, my hands steady. I thought of my key, the boy I'd been, and turned that pain to purpose. I declared it, loud in my chest. These 5 kids, they're mine to protect. No boardroom, no deal, match this. I looked at them, huddled, hopeful, and knew this was my stand, my war. I'd chase truth, face threats, bend the world if I must. For them, I'd act, unyielding, a tycoon turned guardian, ready to bleed. They never thought a cold man like me would fight for this. Is the truth worth everything? Or should it stay buried? What's your take? I'd chosen my path, but the first step's shaky. Stay tuned. Victory and chaos are coming. I moved fast, no hesitation. I filed for emergency guardianship. My lawyer Klein at my side, papers signed in a sterile courthouse room. My first step, bold and raw, was to claim them. Caleb, Sarah, Ethan, Emma, Lily, before the system could tear them apart. I stood before a judge, voice steady, suit creased from nights at Blackwood. I'll keep them safe, together, I said, my eyes fierce. The judge, stern, nodded, granting temporary custody. A fragile win. I drove to the orphanage, heart pounding, and told them, you're coming with me. Caleb's brow furrowed, doubt thick, but Lily grabbed my hand, her doll swinging. I packed their things, torn bags, a few toys, Sarah's books, my hands clumsy but sure. I rented a van, moved them to my penthouse, the city's glow stark against their wide eyes. The place, once cold, echoed with their steps. I bought beds, clothes, food, my wealth a tool now, not a shield. Ms. Evans guided me, her voice calm, routine, care, listen to them. I nodded, set a table pizza. Juice, sat with them. Ethan giggled, Emma smeared sauce, and I laughed, a sound foreign to me. Caleb watched, silent, testing. I fixed a lamp, hung drawings, my fingers learning care. Victor's shadow lingered, the bar tab in my pocket a warning, but I pushed forward. I called security, locked the doors, kept him at bay. My past, the boy with the key, cheered me on. I'd taken a step, defied the suits, the system. I read to Lily, her head on my arm, and felt it. Purpose, real, alive. The courthouse stamp, the kids' bags in my hall, marked my move. I wasn't ready. No parent, but I acted. My empire wobbled, investors fled, but I cared less. These 5, their trust, their need, drove me. I lay awake, the city humming, fear and hope warring. I'd stepped out, left my old self, the cold tycoon, behind. For them, I'd walked this road, unsteady but firm. My first one glowed, fragile but bright. The judge's gavel, the temporary custody order, landed in my hands. A triumph. Them with me, not scattered. The kids settled in, their laughter bouncing off my penthouse walls. Sarah read in a corner. Ethan and Emma drew wild shapes. Lily hummed, clutching her doll. I cooked, burned the eggs, and they giggled, a sound that warmed me. Ms. Evans smiled. You're doing it, Robert. I felt it, a crack in my old shell. The boy with the key nodding from the past. I enrolled them in school, bought backpacks, saw hope in their eyes. Caleb softened, handed me a crayon, a quiet truce. Victory, small, real. Then the obstacle crashed in. Victor surfaced, a call from my investigator. He's at a motel, demanding to see them, talking cash. My gut twisted, fear sharp. He'd seen the news, my fight, and wanted a cut. The media swarmed, cameras at my door, yelling, Sterling stunt? Savior or fake? Pressure built, my board called, drop this, or you're out. I paced. The city's lights mocking me. Caleb overheard, his eyes hard again. He's back, ain't he? I lied, it's fine, but my hands shook. I met Klein, showed her the report, Victor's threats, his record. We'll block him, she said, fierce. But the system wavered, a social worker warned. He's their father, has rights. My wound ached, abandonment sting. I saw my key, felt that boy's panic. I couldn't lose them. I beefed up security, taught Caleb a lock, sat with Lily till she slept. The when custody shone, but Victor, the press, the suits, loomed. I stumbled, no manual for this. Burned eggs and all. My old life crumbled, deals died, but their faces fragile, trusting, pushed me. I'd won a step, faced a wall. I stood, breath uneven, and fought on, a man new and raw for them. I tasted victory, but some say I'm pushing too far. Am I chasing justice or just vengeance? You tell me, right or wrong? Comment below. I stood in my penthouse, the kids asleep, their breaths soft, and locked my resolve. Victor's threat, the media's glare, the system's weight, they pressed hard, but I wouldn't break. I looked at Lily's doll on the couch, Sarah's book open. Ethan and Emma's drawings taped to my fridge, Caleb's quiet nod earlier. I'd committed, no turning back. I'd been that boy, clutching a key, lost, alone, and I'd sworn they'd never feel that. I called Klein. We push harder, custody, full adoption. She agreed. We'll bury Victor's claim. Ms. Evans met me. I steady, said, you're their anchor, Robert. Keep going. I did. I woke early. Made pancakes, messy but warm, and they smiled. Even Caleb, a flicker of trust. I drove them to school, watched them wave, my chest tight. My past, the wound of abandonment, fueled me. I'd built an empire, survived a cold world. Now I'd build this, a home. I sat with Caleb, asked, what do you dream of? He muttered, safety, and I vowed it, silent, fierce. I hired tutors. A counselor, learned their fears, Sarah's shy hope, the twins' giggles, Lily's cling. Victor's shadow loomed, the press hounded, but I stood firm. I locked doors, checked windows, my hands sure now. My board threatened, deals collapsed, but I cared less. I thought of Mary, her dying wish, and felt it, my purpose, unyielding. I knelt by Lily, tucked her in, whispered, I'm yours. I saw my key. The boy I'd buried, and owned him. I'd fight, bleed, for them. I met the judge again, papers ready, my voice clear. They're my family. Commitment burned, a fire no threat could douse. I wasn't perfect, stumbled, but I'd learn. Pancakes, bedtime, love. I lay awake, the city quiet, and affirmed it. Robert Sterling, tycoon no more, guardian now, there's forever. I'd stake my claim, but the world's watching. Brace yourself, the storm breaks wide open next. I stepped into the courthouse, a storm of flashes and shouts crashing around me. Cameras swarmed, reporters yelled. Sterling, why the kids? A stunt. My heart pounded, but I squared my shoulders, the kids behind me, Caleb's hand on Lily's, Sarah and the twins wide-eyed. This was it, the emergency hearing. My fight for them laid bare. I'd brought them, against advice, so the world could see. 5 souls, clinging, real. Inside, the room buzzed, lawyers, social workers, a judge in black, his gaze stone. Victor slouched there, eyes wild, a predator in a cheap suit. Ms. Evans stood by me, her nod steady, Klein at my side, papers thick. The gallery packed, press, strangers, my old board. Their glares sharp. I, Robert Sterling, once a tycoon of steel, felt the weight, the boy with the key trembling inside. I'd stopped a demolition, moved them to my home, but now the world judged. The judge banged his gavel, silence fell, and Klein spoke, crisp, laying out Victor's crimes, abandonment, drugs, the payout he'd squandered. Ms. Evans testified, voice clear, Mr. Sterling's their rock, daily care, beds, school. I felt eyes bore in, the media scribbling, headlines brewing. Victor snarled, they're mine, and I saw fear flicker in Emma's face. I knelt, whispered, I've got you, my hand steady on her. My past surged, the loneliness, the foster nights, but I stood tall. The crowd murmured, some nodded, others scoffed. A reporter slipped out. Story racing. I felt the tide, public, raw, chaotic. My empire teetered, investors gone, but these kids, their hope, held me. The judge asked, why, Mr. Sterling? I paused, breath short, then spoke. Raw. They had no one. I was no one once. I'll be theirs. The room stilled, cameras clicked, my life open, a spectacle. Victor glared. The system wavered, but I faced it, a man reborn. Fighting in the light. The truth spilled out, a flood I couldn't stop. Klein laid it bare, documents in hand. Victor's record, arrests, theft, a trail of ruin after he took my payout and fled. I stood, heart hammering, as she read Mary's hospital note. Her dying wish, keep them together, let Robert guard them. The judge leaned in, eyes sharp, the gallery hushed. I saw Caleb clench his fist, Sarah hug her book, the twins tremble, Lily grip her doll. Ms. Evans spoke, I've seen him food, beds, time, love. He's real. My chest burned, the boy I'd been. Abandoned, nodding from the dark. Victor leapt up, shouting, lies. I'm their dad. His voice cracked, desperate, greedy. Klein countered, cool, with the bar tab, the bartender's words. He bragged, my kids, my cash. The truth hit hard. He'd left them, starved them, now chased profit. I felt the room shift, eyes on me, some soft, some cold. A reporter whispered, hero or fool. I didn't care. I stepped forward, voice steady. I was alone, a kid with nothing. They're not. I fed them, held them, promised safety. Victor ran. I stayed. The judge's pen scratched. The crowd buzzed. My past poured out, foster homes, the rusted key, my walls of wealth. I'd hidden, but no more. Victor's lies crumbled, his face twisted, rage and guilt bare. MS. Evans handed photos. Me with Lily. Reading. Caleb's nod at dinner. Truth shone. I'd changed for them. The media scribbled. Cameras rolled. The world saw. My board glared, my old life dust. But I stood, raw open. The kids looked at me, hope in their eyes, and I felt it. Truth. Mine and theirs, laid naked. Victor's claim, a sham, withered. The judge stared, weighing. I breathed, steady. The man I'd become, guardian, fighter, on display, unyielding. Victor's mask cracked, and the room felt it. He stood, fist clenched, yelling, I'm their blood. You're nothing, Sterling. But the truth, sharp as a blade, cut deep. Klein piled on, relentless. Police reports, Victor's drug busts, witnesses of his rants for cash. The judge's eyes narrowed, cold, as Victor stumbled. His story fraying. I watched, heart racing, the kids beside me, Caleb's jaw tight, Lily's hand in mine. Ms. Evans spoke, firm, Robert's their home, stability, care. Victor left them to die? The gallery shifted, murmurs rising, prejudice shaking. They'd seen me, the tycoon, cold, selfish. Now they saw me kneel, tie Ethan's shoe, hug Emma. A reporter paused, pen still, doubt in his gaze. My old board, their scorn loud, faltered as Klein showed my logs. Nights at Blackwood, supplies, school runs. Victor's claim, his father's right, trembled, a lie exposed. I stood, voice low, raw. I was you, Victor, alone, lost. But I didn't abandon. You did. His eyes flickered, guilt seeping, his hold slipping. The crowd split. Some cheered, some jeered, prejudice of my wealth, my stunt. Cracking. The judge leaned back, face unreadable, but I saw it. Victor's power, his grip, shook. My past, the boy with the key, stood with me, strong. I'd been judged, a ruthless mogul. But now they saw me with Sarah, reading, Caleb's slow trust. Victor slumped, his venom weak, a man undone. The system's bias, ready to favor blood, wobbled. Ms. Evans' report, my actions weighed heavy. Cameras caught it, the tide turning, public doubt of me, of him, breaking. I held Lily, felt their hope, my resolve iron. Victor, the villain, shrank, his lies dust. The world watched, shaken, as I, Robert Sterling, stood tall, not a tycoon, but a man, their man, fighting. That moment, they saw me anew. If you've had a time when eyes turned, judgment shifted, share it below. I'll read every one. The battle's public, but my heart's still at war. Stick around, doubt's coming for me next. I lay awake, the penthouse silent, the kids asleep, their breaths a fragile rhythm. Victory lingered, the courts nod, but doubt crept in, cold and sharp. Was I enough? I'd won them, temporary, but me, Robert Sterling, the steel tycoon, a father? My hands shook. The rusted key of my past heavy in my mind. I'd built empires, crushed foes, but this, Lily's cling, Caleb's weary eyes, felt bigger, heavier. I paced, the city's glow mocking me through glass. I saw my boyhood, alone, unwanted, bouncing through foster homes. What did I know of love, of care? I'd burned eggs, stumbled through bedtime, my suit stained, my patience thin. The judge's gaze. The media's jab, stunt or savior? Not at me. Victor's snarl, the system's pull, loomed. What if I failed? What if they were taken, split, lost like I was? I looked at Ethan's drawing on the wall, Sarah's book, and felt small. My wealth, my power, useless here. I'd vowed to shield them, but doubt whispered, you're a fraud, a man of deals, not diapers. My chest tightened. The old wound bleeding, abandonment, mine, theirs. I sat, head in hands, seeing that boy, me, clutching a key, begging for a home. Was I fooling them myself? Caleb's doubt, you'll leave, echoed. Maybe he was right. I wasn't built for this, not soft, not steady. I stared at Lily's doll, left on the couch, and felt the weight. Could I be what they needed, or was I just a shadow, doomed to falter? I stood in the dark, the kids' soft snores around me, and faced it, my fear, raw and deep. I'd fought Victor, the system, the world, but this was worse, the terror I'd failed them. My past rose, a tide of pain, the boy I was, alone, clutching that rusted key, praying for someone, anyone. I'd survived, built walls, a life of steel, but these kids cracked me open. I saw Lily's trust, Caleb's guarded stare, and trembled. What if I broke them, like I'd been broken? I paced, the penthouse vast, empty, a mirror of my old self. Fear clawed. Victor could return. The system could snatch them, and me, I'd stumble, too cold, too lost. I knelt by Emma's bed, her hand tiny, and saw my dread. I'd lose them, not to others, but to my own flaws. My heart raced. Breath short. I'd run from this, buried it under deals, money. Now, it stared back, the fear I wasn't enough, not a father, not a home. I thought of my youth, the hunger, the silence, and felt it. I'd carried this, a wound unhealed, a boy unclaimed. I whispered to the dark, can I do this? No answer. Caleb's words, everyone leaves, cut deep. My fear, sharp, real, was losing them, failing their hope. I touched Ethan's drawing, traced its lines, and faced it. I was scared, broken, but here. I'd fight this, my demon, for them. I wondered, if I'm wrong, why do I feel so alone? Have you ever fought the world, felt it turn on you? Share it. I'm listening. I stood, the night still, the kids safe, and gripped my truth. Doubt shook me, fear clawed. But I looked at them, Lily's doll, Sarah's book, the twins' crayons, Caleb's quiet strength, and knew I'd stay. I, Robert Sterling, wasn't that boy anymore, lost with a key, begging. I'd survived. Risen, built a life from ash. Now I'd build theirs. My heart steadied, my breath even. I'd stumbled, burnt food, fumbled love, but I'd learned. Pancakes, stories, hugs. I saw my past, the wound, and owned it. Abandonment shaped me, but I'd not let it shape them. I walked to the window, the city vast, and felt it. Strength, mine, hard-earned. I'd fought Victor, faced cameras, bent the system. I wasn't perfect, but I was here. I knelt by Caleb, sleeping, and whispered, I won't go. My vow, iron, burned bright. Ms. Evans' words rang, you're their anchor. I believed it now. I bled. Built, for them, Caleb's trust, Lily's smile, Sarah's hope, the twins' laugh. My fear lingered, a shadow, but I turned it, fuel for my fire. I thought of Mary, her plea, and stood taller. The tycoon, was more guardian, fighter, theirs. I touched Lily's doll, felt my resolve, unyielding. I'd face courts, threats, my own cracks, and win. I saw that boy, me, and said, you made it. They will too. I was Robert, reborn, not cold, not alone. For them, I'd be steady, a home, no matter the cost. I'd found my fight, but chaos waits. Hang on, the world's about to strike back. The world erupted, a storm I couldn't tame. After the hearing, headlines screamed, Sterling's crusade, hero or madman? Cameras stalked my penthouse, reporters banging, neighbors gawking. I shielded the kids, Caleb peering out, Lily clinging to me. Social media blazed, some cheered, he's saving them. Others spat, rich guy's ego trip. My phone buzzed, old allies texting. You're insane, Robert. My board, furious, voted to oust me, my empire crumbling. I stood, breath short, watching Sarah color, the twins play, and felt the tide. Society split, judging me. Supporters rallied. A petition online. Let Sterling keep them. Thousands signed, strangers' voices lifting me. But hate poured too, comments cruel. He'll dump them, like his deals. I saw my past. The boy shunned, unwanted, and it stung. The kids felt it. Caleb snapped. Why they hate you? I knelt, said, not us, just noise. But the chaos grew, protests outside, signs waving. Kids belong with blood. Victor's lies fed it. Whispers he'd spun to the press. Sterling stole my family. My heart raced, the weight heavy. Ms. Evans called, stay strong, Robert. I nodded. But the storm shook me. Fans mailed letters, your hope, while tabloids sneered, tycoon's folly. I walked the kids to school, heads down, flashes blinding. My wound ached, abandonment's echo. But their hands, small, trusting, held me. Society tore itself. Some saw a man fighting, others a fraud. I stood, torn, my old life dust, my new one fragile. The chaos roared, and I braced. A guardian in the fray. Some call me a wrecker, others a savior. If you were me, would you hush or shout the truth? You decide, comment now. Victor unraveled, a beast cornered. He stormed a TV show. Wild-eyed, slurring, Sterling's a thief. My kids. I watched, the kids safe in my penthouse, my pulse racing. Klein called, he's slipping, Robert. We've got more, drug deals, jail time. Evidence piled, a witness swore Victor bragged. I'll milk this rich guy. His control cracked, lies crumbling. I stood by the window, Lily drawing nearby, and felt the shift. He'd rallied a few. Fed the blood is best crowd, but truth bled out. Cops nabbed him, a baggie in his pocket, his ranting caught on camera. The judge saw, Ms. Evans beamed, he's done, Robert. I nodded. But my guard stayed up. Victor phoned from lockup, voice a snarl, you'll pay, give him back. I hung up, hands steady, fear fading. The kids didn't know, but Caleb sensed it, asked, he's gone. Right? I said, he can't hurt us. My past, the boy left behind, watch Victor fall. His grip, father's rights, greed, slipped, exposed as rot. Media turned, headlines now, deadbeat dad busted. Supporters grew, chants outside. Sterling's their home. Victor's chaos, his threats, faltered, his power dust. I tucked Emma in, her smile soft, and saw it. His reign, his claim, collapsing. Klein filed more, stripping his rights, legal gears grinding. My wound, abandonment sting, eased. I'd fought, stood firm, and he broke. The world saw, some still jeered, but truth won. I held Sarah's book, read aloud, my voice calm. Victor, the villain, lost, a man undone, raging in a cell. I, Robert, stood tall, their shield, unbowed. The dust settled, Victor caged. But chaos shoved me forward. The court granted me full guardianship, papers in hand, a new world. I moved the kids, permanent, my penthouse alive, crayons, laughter mess. I, Robert Sterling, tycoon no more, was theirs, a role raw and real. I stumbled, juice spilled, Schedules clashed, but I learned. Caleb tested me. You sure now? I nodded, firm, always. My old life, boardrooms. Deals gone, my name off the company. I cared less, their face is my focus. Ms. Evans guided, routine, love, time. I set beds, cooked, fumbled, but tried. School runs, homework. Lily's songs filled my days. The world watched, some cheered. He's family. Others doubted. He'll quit. I ignored it, my wound. The key, a quiet strength now. Victor's rights died, court stamped. And I breathed, free. I sat with Caleb, built a model car, his hand steady, mine too. A new situation, no blueprint, me, a guardian, a father, uncharted. I bought a house, big, warm. Left the penthouse cold. We moved, boxes, giggles, Sarah's book stacked. I hung Ethan's art, felt roots grow. My past, the lonely boy, smiled. Challenges bit tantrums, fears. Caleb's walls, but I faced them, patient. I read to Emma, hugged Lily, my heart full. The media lingered, cameras flashed, but I shielded them, my role clear. I was pushed, a man new, no suits. Just socks and stories. Society shifted, some embraced, some scoffed, but I stood, their home. I lay awake, their breaths near, and knew this was mine, messy, true. I'm in deep. But help's coming from nowhere I expected. Stay with me, allies are rising. I stood, weary, in our new house, the kids chatter a hum, when an ally stepped from the shadows. A knock came, sharp. And there was Clara, a teacher from their school, eyes bright, voice warm. Mr. Sterling, I've seen them bloom. I'm here to help. I blinked, stunned, a stranger offering aid. My guard, built from years alone, wavered. She'd watched me, the fumbling man, bring Caleb's grades up, calm Lily's fears. You're doing good, she said, handing me a plan, tutoring, art classes, support. My chest eased, the boy with the key, once solo, now not. I'd fought alone, Victor, the system, but Clara saw me, real. I nodded, join us. She sat with Sarah, read, laughed, her presence light. Caleb eyed her, wary, but stayed. I felt it, a lift, my load, heavy with nights of doubt, shared. Clara brought books, games, new trauma, patience. My past, the wound of no one caring, quieted. She wasn't Ms. Evans, not paid, just here, a volunteer, a beacon. I watched her tie Emma's shoe, and gratitude hit, sharp. I, Robert, the loner, had help, unasked, pure. She said, they need you. And you need a hand. I swallowed, saw their smiles, and knew she was right, an ally, unexpected, true. I built with Clara, our tie growing, a lifeline. She came daily. Her bag stuffed, paints for Ethan, stories for Sarah, a puzzle for Lily. I watched, amazed, as she knelt, listened, her calm steadying them. My hands, clumsy. Learned from her how to soothe Emma's tears, coax Caleb's trust. We sat, planned, her voice soft, their healing, Robert, with you. I nodded, my walls, built from a lonely past, cracking. I shared. Rare for me, I was alone, a kid, no one stayed. She looked, eyes deep, said, you're enough now. My chest warmed, the boy with the key felt seen. We cooked, a mess, pancakes lumpy, and laughed. The kids joining. Caleb handed her a spoon, a bond budding. I saw it, trust, mine and theirs, tying us. Clara taught me, patience, play, how to hear their fears. I opened, told her of Victor. The fight, my stumbles. She nodded, you're their rock. We took them to a park, her arm brushing mine, a quiet strength. I felt it, a link, not just for them, but me. My wound, abandonment, eased in her light. We built routines, homework, bedtime, together, a team. I, Robert, once cold, grew close, her faith in me afire. The kid smiled, leaned in, and I knew this bond, new, strong, held us. The circle widened, a force I never dreamed. Clara brought others, neighbors, a baker with treats, a coach for Caleb. I stood, stunned, as hands reached out, unasked. A woman, Mrs. Lee. Dropped blankets, said, for your family, Mr. Sterling. My heart caught family, a word I'd shunned. My past, the boy alone, stared, awed. The school hosted a drive, clothes, toys piling. People chanting, Sterling's kids. I watched, Lily hugging a doll, Ethan kicking a ball, and felt it. Community, alive, lifting. A carpenter fixed our porch, free, his grin wide. You're doing right. I nodded, throat tight, the loner undone. Online, support surged, post cheering, keep them, Robert. Thousands, strangers, backed me, a wave against the hate. Clara smiled. See? You're not alone. I saw. The kids ran, laughed, held by more than me. Ms. Evans joined, brought forms, community seals this. We gathered, a picnic, neighbors sang, kids played. My eyes stung. My wound. The empty years faded in this embrace. I, Robert, once a tower, stood in a circle. Clara, Mrs. Lee, the coach, kids, all one. They gave time, love, strength, a shield for my fight. I hugged Sarah, felt their hope, and knew this power, this tribe, carried us, unyielding. Help's here, but the story's spreading fast. Stay, the world's about to weigh in. The story broke wide. A tide I couldn't steer. TV crews camped. Mike's thrust. Sterling, the orphan dad. Headlines blazed. Tycoon turns guardian. I shielded the kids, Caleb glaring, Lily close, as cameras rolled. Some sang praise, a news anchor cooed, a hero's heart. Others slashed, a blogger spat, rich man's game. My phone hummed, share soaring videos of us, the courthouse, Blackwood, viral. I stood, breath short, watching Ethan draw, Emma giggle, and felt the surge. My past, the lonely boy, watched, stunned. Online, posts exploded. Save Sterling's 5. Trending, thousands cheering. But venom came too. Tweets hissing. He'll quit. Fake. I held Sarah's hand, ignored the noise. A talk show called. I spoke, raw. They're my home. I'm theirs. The host nodded. Viewers wept. Clips spread. Clara smiled. You're sparking something, Robert. I saw it. The ripple, schools donated. Strangers sent toys. My wound, abandonment, quieted in the roar. Some attacked. Blood matters. Echoing Victor's lie, but support drowned it. Petitions grew. I walked, flashes blinding, kids safe. My heart racing. The media, a beast, carried us, good, bad, loud. I, Robert, once cold, was news. A man fighting, seen. Why do some hate when the left behind speak? When victims rise, why the scorn? Tell me your take below. Justice moved, slow but sure. The court called, a final hearing. Victor's rights on the block. I stood, papers ready, Klein fierce, Ms. Evans firm. The judge, stern, read evidence, Victor's crimes, drugs, his greedy rants. I watched, heart steady, the kids at home. Safe. My voice rang. I've housed them, loved them, stayed. Klein piled on. Witnesses swore. He left, chased cash. The gavel fell, right stripped, a win, clean. I breathed, the weight lifting. Media caught it. Sterling triumphs, dad done. Cheers online. Justice for the 5. Rippled wide. I saw Clara. Neighbors, their nods, a tide turning. My past, the boy with the key, smiled, avenged. The system, once cold, bent. Ms. Evans reports, my care, tipped it. A clerk said, adoption's next, Mr. Sterling. I nodded, eyes wet, a path opening. Victor, caged, faded, his threat dust. The world watched, some clapped, rights done. Others grumbled, too soft. I cared not, justice answered, guardianship mine, firm. I drove home, Lily ran, hugged me. Sarah beamed. Caleb said, we're yours. I knelt, yes. My wound, the old ache, healed a stitch. I, Robert, stood, a man judged, now just, their shield, proven. I let go, hate a weight I wouldn't carry. Victor, broken, caged, stirred no rage in me. I saw him, a man lost, like I'd been, but I chose different. I sat, the kids around, Lily singing, Ethan laughing, and felt peace. My past, the boy abandoned. Could have cursed, but I wouldn't. I'd fought, not for vengeance, but them, Caleb, Sarah, the twins, Lily. I told them, he's gone, we're here. Caleb nodded, eyes soft, a wall down. I thought of my key. The pain, and set it free. No hate for Victor, his mess his own. The world split, some sneered. Sterling's weak, others cheered. He's grace. I cared less, my heart light. Clara said, you're bigger than anger. I smiled true. I hugged Emma, read to Sarah, built with Ethan, danced with Lily. My wound, once raw, closed, no venom left. I'd risen, not to crush, but lift. Justice gave us ground, adoption near, and I focused, love, not spite. Neighbors clapped, online voices sang, no hate, just hope. I stood, the house warm, kids mine. I, Robert, once cold, chose this. No grudges, just us, a family forged steady. We're steady, but a shadow stirs. Hold tight, the final test is near. A shadow crept back, chilling my bones. Victor, out on bail, slunk near. A call from security. He's by the house, shouting. My pulse raced, the kids inside, unaware. I, Robert, stood, eyes scanning, heart a drum. He'd lost rights, but fury drove him, a man unhinged. My kids, Sterling, his voice rasped, faint through the night. I locked doors, held Lily close, her doll tight. Caleb heard, eyes sharp, he's here? I nodded, I've got this. My past. The boy with the key trembled, old fear rising. I'd won court, built a home, but Victor, wild, threatened. Police came, slow, his shadow gone. A note left, you'll pay. My gut twisted. The wound of loss alive. I called Klein, he's back, dangerous. She said, we'll block him, restrain him. Ms. Evans rushed over, calm, keep them safe. Robert. I did, security tight, my hands firm. The kids slept, Sarah's book open, Ethan's art bright. But danger loomed. I paced, the house a fort, my mind racing. Victor's rage, a last gasp, tested me. My fear, deep, whispered, lose them? I saw my youth, abandoned, and steeled myself. I wouldn't bend. The threat, real, raw, rose, a storm to face. I stood, their guard, ready, unyielding. I faced him, the end, under a cold moon. Victor lurched from the dark, eyes blazing, near the house, yelling, give him back. Sterling. I stepped out, alone, police en route, my heart a fist. You're done, I said, voice iron, body tense. He lunged, fist wild, slurring, my blood, mine. I dodged, stood firm, a wall for them. Caleb peeked, eyes wide, but I waved him in, safe. My past, the boy left, roared, but I was more. You left them, starved them, I spat, truth a blade. He swung, weak, drunk, and I held, steady. Sirens wailed, cops grabbed him, his arms flailing, rage spent. Klein called, restraining order, now. I nodded, breath hard, watching him cuffed, dragged off. My wound, abandonment, burned, but I saw Lily's doll, Ethan's laugh, and knew I'd won. Victor's claim, his chaos, broke, a man in chains. The kids ran, hugged me, Sarah whispering, you stayed. I knelt, always. Ms. Evans nodded. It's over, Robert. The night stilled, his threat dust. I faced him, my fear, and stood tall, no tycoon. Just theirs. Police took him, court sealed it, adoption close. I, Robert, met his eyes, saw his fall, my rise. The battle, final, fierce, was mine, for them, done. I stood, the storm gone. A quiet wind mine. Victor was locked away, order signed, threat dead. I walked inside, the house warm, the kids near. Lily smiled, doll in hand. Ethan and Emma giggled. Sarah read, Caleb nodded. Trust real. I breathed, deep, the weight lifted. My past, the boy with the key, rested at peace. I'd faced him, the system, my doubt, and held. The court called, adoption papers near. A seal on our bond. I sat, held Lily, her warmth mine, and felt it. Victory, soft, true. No cameras, no cheers, just us. I cooked, no burns, pancakes golden, their laughs loud. Ms. Evans visited. You did it, Robert. I smiled, humble, steady. The world faded, the hate, the noise, gone. I hung Ethan's art, read to Sarah, built with Caleb, danced with Emma. My wound, old, healed, a scar now. Robert, wasn't the tycoon, but there's a home. Neighbors waved, Clara clapped, support quiet, strong. I lay, the kids asleep, their breaths a song, and knew we'd made it, together, whole. No roar. Just calm, a family forged, mine. I looked out, the night still, and savored it, a win, silent, deep, ours. We've won, quiet, but healing waits. Stay, love's about to mend us. I stood, battle-worn. The kids around. When healing came, gentle, sure. Clara, the teacher, stepped deeper, not just an ally, but a guide. She arrived, eyes soft, bag heavy with tools, books, art, a quiet wisdom. Robert. Let me help them mend, she said, voice a bomb. I nodded, the weight of fights, victor, courts, doubt, still heavy. My past, the boy abandoned, ached, but Clara saw us, raw, real. She sat with Caleb, his walls high, and listened, no push, as he spoke. I miss Mama. She hugged him, gentle, and I watched, my chest easing. She painted with Ethan and Emma, their giggles bright, easing trauma's mark. Sarah read to her, shy and Lily sang, her doll dancing. Clara knew hurt, taught me patience, presence, love. I, Robert, once cold, leaned in, learning. She said, they're strong, you're their root. I felt it, my wound, the key, softening. We baked, a mess, flour flying, and laughed. A sound new, healing. Ms. Evans joined, nodded, Claire is your bridge, Robert. I saw it, her calm, her care. Mending them, me. I shared, rare. I was lost, alone. She touched my arm, you're home now. The kids bloomed, Caleb's guard dropped. Sarah's smile grew. Clara, our healer, brought light, a path. I stumbled, still, but she guided bedtime tales, hugs, talks. My heart, once steel, softened, her gift stitching us. I watched Lily sleep, felt peace, a man healing. There's whole. I sat. The house quiet, the kids asleep, and faced forgiveness, a slow tide. I'd carried weight, Victor's sin, my doubt, my past. I looked at Lily's doll, Ethan's art, and saw my fault, my stumbles. I'd burned meals, snapped, felt unready, the tycoon unfit for this. My wound, the boy with the key, begged release. I whispered, Robert, you tried, you stayed. I forgave myself, slow, real. The guilt lifting. I thought of Victor, broken, lost, and let hate go. He'd left them, hurt them, but I wouldn't curse him. I saw my father, gone, and breathed. You did what you could. My chest lightened, the ache, old, easing. I sat with Caleb, said, I'm not perfect, but I'm here. He nodded, you're enough. I hugged him, Sear's mind, forgiveness flowing. I told Sarah, we all mess up, we grow. She smiled, soft, a bond mending. Clara watched. Let it go, Robert. I did, forgiving my youth, the foster nights, the cold. I held Emma, whispered, we're okay, and meant it, for me, for them. My past, a scar, not a blade now. I thought of Mary, her plea, and honored it, no anger. I forgave the world, the sneers, the bored, their doubt. I stood, the kids near, and felt it, peace, a slate clean. I, Robert, once hard, opened, letting pain drift, embracing us. We laughed, played, a family, wounds stitching, love strong. I held it, a symbol. Small, profound. We'd moved, the house ours, and I gave each kid a gift, a key, shiny, new, hung on chains. I knelt, Lily in my lap, and said, this unlocks our home, always. Her eyes lit. Her doll beside her, the key gleaming. I saw my past, the rusted key, my plea for safety, and turned it. This, new, was hope. Caleb took his, fingers tight, a grin rare. Our home? I nodded, yours. Sarah hung hers, proud. Ethan and Emma swung theirs, laughing. I'd built this, not a tower, but a haven, walls warm, theirs. The key, once my wound, now healed us, a sign, safety, love us. We hung them, a ritual, on a board by the door, 5 keys, mine too. Clara smiled, it's perfect, Robert. I felt it, the boy I was, at rest, his key remade. We walked outside, the air crisp, and planted a tree, roots deep, like us. The kids dug, dirt on hands, giggling, a mark of growth. My heart swelled, the past, the loneliness, buried. The keys jangled, a sound of belonging. No more loss. I read to Lily, tucked them in, the board gleaming, a beacon. Ms. Evans said, you've healed, all of you. I saw it, scars, theirs mine fading. The keys, the tree, tied us, a family. Chosen, strong. I, Robert, stood, the symbol ours, healing whole, a life new. We're mended, but a new dawn calls. Stick with me, rebirth is here. I woke, The house alive, a new life steady. The kids ran, Caleb joking, Sarah reading, Ethan and Emma chasing, Lily singing. I, Robert, once a tycoon, now cooked breakfast, pancakes golden, no burns. We laughed, syrup sticky, a rhythm ours. The keys hung, our symbol, the door opened to a home, real, warm. I drove them to school, their waves bright, my heart full. My past, the boy alone, was quiet, at peace. I worked, not deals. But life, homework, games, bedtime tales. Clara helped, her smile a constant, our bond deep. Ms. Evans checked, "You're solid, Robert." I nodded, adoption final, papers signed, us a unit. The house. Big, buzzed crayons, toys, love. I built a swing, Caleb pushed Lily, their joy my old world. Suits, towers, gone, and I cared not. We ate, table loud, a family, chosen. Neighbors waved. Community held us, strong. I lay, their breaths near, and felt it, stability, new, true. No victor, no chaos, just us. I taught Ethan knots, read Sarah's tales, danced with Emma, hugged Lily. Caleb said, "We're good, right?" I smiled, forever. My wound, sealed, a scar of strength. I, Robert, reborn, lived this. Mornings, messes, love, a life rooted, steady. I stood, our story rippling. Lighting fires. People wrote, "Robert, you gave me hope." Letters piling, online posts soaring. I shared a video, raw. I was lost, found them, fought. You can too. Views climbed, thousands nodded. I'll stand up. A woman messaged, "Your fight pushed me, adopted one." My chest swelled, the kids beside me, proud. I spoke, a school, voice steady. Choose love, not fear. Strangers clapped. Eyes wet, a man said, "I'll help kids now." I saw my past, the key, and turned it, inspiration, mine, theirs. Clara filmed, us laughing, building, posted, Sterling's 5 thrive. It spread, viral. Comments, "You changed me." I knelt, told the kids, "We're a spark." Caleb grinned, "We're cool, huh?" I laughed, "Yeah." Schools called, I shared, take a step, save someone. Families formed. Others fought, my story a wave. I read notes, a girl, I was alone, now I try. My wound, once deep, fueled this, light for the lost. I, Robert, no tycoon, a voice, showed them, act, love, rise. We planted trees, neighbors joined, a chain of good. I watched, Lily's song, Sarah's hope, and knew we lit something, a fire for others, burning bright. I stood, dusk soft, the kids around. Our keys glinting on the board. We walked, hand in hand, to the tree we'd planted, roots deep, leaves green. Lily hung her key, giggling, our home. Caleb added his, Sarah, Ethan, Emma too. A circle complete. I hung mine, the rusted boy's key gone, this one bright, ours. The house glowed, warm, laughter spilling, a haven built. I knelt, their eyes on me, and felt it, rebirth, whole. My past, the wound, was strength, a life new. We sat, grass cool, stars above, and I spoke, voice low, we're family, not by blood, but choice, love, fight. They hugged me, tight, a bond unbreaking. I looked, the tree tall, keys shining, a symbol, us, rooted, free. I said, a quote, true, from broken stone, we grow, a home not found, but made, love's the strongest brick. They smiled, Caleb nodded. Lily clung. I, Robert, once cold, was theirs alive. The world saw, online, your hope, ringing. I whispered, if you've risen from nothing, share your story below. Your fight lifts others. I'm grateful, you're with us, stick around, more to come. If you've climbed from the deep, don't hide it. Tell it in the comments, your tale might save someone out there.